Welcome to one of our very first launch videos. Even though this is not an official launch, we're super excited about this one, aren't we?
Yeah, it was a fun to do, so we were eager.
So
You were pushing to launch it, so let's do it.
I'm pushing to launch it. So just for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Ivan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Daytona, a dev environment manager, completely open source. Check it out on GitHub. With me is Niko, our head of growth.
Hi.
So to start off, why are we launching and why and whatnot? We always start with the question of what if we were able to solve this problem? What the world look like, right? And we think the world would be a completely different place, meme and pun intended, if code just ran. The idea is that right now, if you want to contribute to open source project, you basically have to, clone the repo, read through the README, figure out what the dependencies you have to install. And once you've installed that, it probably doesn't work, right? And then you get frustrated and you're like, screw this, not going to do this. I'm done, go do my main job. And so imagine a world where every single contribution always happens. Or as Niko put in the slide here, we live in a world where most contributions actually never happen. And what would it look like if every time you wanted to contribute to open source that you actually could? It's like, oh, I have this idea. I want to change this or submit this or fix this bug. And all you have to do is check out the repo. It runs right away. You fix what you want, runs again, perfect, create a PR. You are done, right? This is something that is a problem to every single person that we've ever talked to in the open source community. More than that, we know from research that we have done that 56%, and I mean, this is sort of mid, it's lower or higher depending on who you ask, spend 56% of dev's time is spent on maintaining or setting up or debugging their dev environments, especially if you're switching around a lot. I mean, it's a lot of time that you're just throwing away absolutely for nothing. And so at Daytona, our mission is to remove this completely, but there's one single thing that's missing in every repo so that Daytona can solve this once and for all. So for those of you that don't know, Daytona automates everything around your dev environment. So it'll spin up a VM, it'll create a container, it'll clone the Git repository, it'll read the repository. If there's a configuration file, it will execute and build the entire dev environment that you need. It also connects to any IDE that you want. So, VS Code, IntelliJ, Cursor, if you're into that, not right now. Also creates a VPN connection securely if it's a remote machine, adds a fully qualified domain name, all these wonderful things. But the only thing that is not deterministic in that entire flow is there a dev environment? And so dev environment configuration or dev environment as code. And so Niko, tell us why dev environment as code is super important, not just for Daytona, but for the bigger problem that we're talking about right now.
Sure. Currently, we have several solutions. Obviously, this also indicates that the problem exists. So we have several standards starting from Microsoft DevContainer, Nix, FLOC, DevFile, and basically you can do it now. You need, again, to know some specific knowledge to do it. And these solutions do require some investment of effort to also maintain them and keep them up to date with your project. And when you have them, they will basically standardize the way your development environment is spin up. And then you can share it with your colleagues, with your open source contributors, whomever, your team members, to have the same dev environment as you set it up. So you can have ephemeral dev environments that just run.
Exactly. So what I'm understanding for everyone that's watching right now is that if a project or repository has one of these configuration standards, one of the 4 that you mentioned, any one of them, when I clone my repo and run this, I essentially don't have to read the README for the setup and installation part. I don't have to look at port numbers, what dependencies, all this is just automatically done for me, and just poof, it works.
Yeah, you just jump in and it starts for example, your development server, it opens a preview, it sets up everything, and you just start working, or you just If you are maybe have a different role, if you are QA, if you're a designer, you can preview the work. If you need to share it with your CEO or whomever, you just share the project URL and they basically just see it as you saw it on your machine.
Great. So one of the problems with this is actually getting one of these configuration files into every repo in the world. And you and I thought about this, like, how do we get this done right away? And other companies have tried to do this as well, sort of like, inject it in every single one. But the problem is not just having that initial one. It is, when there's changes in the repository, if those changes affect the dev environment underneath, then you have to change and update the dev environment as code specification, which adds maintenance and people forget about it. And when that happens, it sort of like dies out. And then you have a wrong one and people just delete it. So both you and I were thinking, sort of getting into why we're here today, is you run growth here at Daytona, but you also, as part of growth, run a bunch of experiments. And I was really, really excited about this to get the world in a place where this exists in every single repository. So we ran a few experiments to get this up and running, which all failed. Obviously, not all of your experiments failed. Some of them are great, but like these ones failed. And the interesting part, what I want to tell everyone, is that even though Nico runs growth, he ended up like doing it by himself. Like he built this completely on his own. So please, for his sake, it is open source. Take a look. Don't hate on us or him for that. And we'll ask for your help. But it works, and we're really, really happy about that. And so how it works and why it works and what is this experiment, Nico, fill us in about it.
Yeah, we had a pretty exciting summer. We have 6 or 7 interns trying to tackle different aspects of development experience, essentially relating to development environments. So we were trying to see how AI fits in the usual, like, daily workflow of every developer. And basically, AI is very good in translating stuff between different languages. And in this case, we have translation from the code base to a configuration file. And we can also understand that as any other translation that is like human language translation or whatever. So if we basically just want to generate dev environment, we should be able to just say, okay, this is my code, or I want to do this or that. Could you please generate my dev environment? And you
generate my dev environment. Generate my dev environment configuration.
Yeah. So basically, we were playing with different bits and pieces. You can also check all those experiments are open source. You can find them on our repos, And basically, we were playing, okay, how could we construct effectively and efficiently context, and how could we prompt LLMs to give us the output that is able to run and that works. So you provide, in the most simple terms, you basically constructed context out of the code base that you have, like you provided the GitHub URL, and it will just go through your code base and decide what to take and basically build on the output your configuration files.
Okay, let's show the people how this works.
Yeah. So we have this sample container, which we will now delete, just to be sure that we don't have it. This is a small sample repo. And if we take GitHub URL, feed it to DevContainer.AI.
What is the URL? So
DevContainer.AI, yeah.
So anyone can go right now to DevContainer.AI and start generating
DevContainer. And you can take it and you need to add it. Let's do it like this. It's not the best way, but DevContainer/DevContainer.JSON. You could do it in the root directory, but I like to keep things clean.
So just to be clear of what you've done right now is you have a project, which is a Hello World website. You all can take a look at it. You deleted the DevContainer, so it's not in there. You gave the repository to DevContainer.AI. It read it took all the inputs, created an output, which is a DevContainer JSON. Then you went back to the repository and pasted it in, and hopefully now the magic will work.
Exactly. So let's try to run this in Daytona. and you need to type just simply Daytona create, and let's add this string to open it in my VS Code. I'm now selecting local, so this environment will be set up locally, but you could also use any remote target like AWS, DigitalOcean, or some bare metal machine that you have. We can
Just to
see
be clear,
here that
before you get into that, I just want to be clear that everyone watching, they can use, VS Code without Daytona if they want. This will still work. Because we're Daytona, we think a lot of things are more, it's a better experience. So we're walking you through what's happening right now. So sorry, back to you, Nico.
So you can see it's basically, we have already VS Code is starting, the environment is set up. You can quickly see what was done in the background. The container was read and everything was set up. We can see still here that ID customization are being done and extensions that we had specified in DevContainer are being set up. So let me reopen the
Can you zoom in the VS Code so we can all see?
Yeah. So it zooms out on itself. So we see that we are connected to a workspace, and basically let's try to run this. So we have all dependencies installed, and we should be able to run it just like this. Okay, let's see the preview. And we can see also the preview of this simple demo that is running. It should be any moment now, but yeah.
We need to get you a faster machine to get this up and running.
For sure, yeah.
Here we are.
Here it is.
So just to take a look at everyone that's watching right now, we had a repo. Basically, if you had cloned this, you'd have to read through the dependencies, install yarn, install all these things, see what happens. With Daytona, with DevContainer.AI, which created the configuration, we put this into Daytona and everything just automatically works, like right out of the box. So you have the website, it's a hello world. It could be anything else, it doesn't matter. And now you can work on that, change it, submit a PR to that project. And so our vision with this is that this works on every single repository in the world.
And there's also vision for future. Imagine the future where you can just have an agent that is standing beside you, scanning the PRs, suggesting the updates of your configuration, and basically you will then achieve maximum development velocity because you won't spend time on this tedious task of maintaining everything. We all know that it's easy to do something, but the hard part comes when you need to keep it running and maintaining it.
Sure, that is a future where, before we get to further, where not only would this be automatically done for every repository, but if there's a new PR created, that will look through the diffs, whatnot, and see, oh, I need to add this to the dev container as well. So that is something hopefully the people watching or some people are interested can help us out. And how can they help us out?
Yeah, so they can jump into repo. Everything is open under MIT license. It was done with the most recent and fun tools, I would say. So for me, it was also an exercise of using new stuff and playing with it. This was done with fast HTML, which is a very interesting project, basically ideal for any kind of AI prototypes. It's currently using OpenAI, deployed at Azure. I'm hoping to have more options in the future. Specifically Anthropic, which we currently are in a program with them and are hoping to use their structured outputs that they have. This was all enabled by Instructor library that basically gives us structured output. We are currently in the background using GPT-4o Mini. Everything is saved in Supabase. In production, in development, we use SQLite with SQLvec. And it's deployed on Railway. So the project is also interesting as a study in AI prototyping, like how can you do fast and deploy your prototypes. So basically, you can try it, you should try it, you can contribute, and for any questions, just join our Slack community.
Absolutely. So the ask for everyone, like, go to DevContainer.AI. Hopefully use this thing every day. I hope it makes your life better. Join the community if you want, to submit, issues or talk about things or help us work on future. But also the GitHub repo is out there. It's open source, looking for both your contributions and issues. And yeah, we hope we really enjoy, solving the problem of helping everyone to contribute. Thanks very much for joining.